not a lot of people know this. But if do you remember the Moffats?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so
They were
so
a boy
the
band, and then as they grew up, they turned into more of a rock band. They were
yeah,
awesome.
so the Moffats wrote Behind Bars. Um, and
Like
which
all
is
three or four brothers, or one of them, or
the two brothers. The two brothers were writers on it, and which I think is awesome, man. I mean, like the Moffats were, um, they had that song. Remember that song, "Misery"?
yeah,
Yeah.
they were
um,
huge
yeah, they were
when we were kids.
in high school. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the two brothers, are behind bars, which I think is really cool. And but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people involved on this record, a lot.
So let's dive into each song then. So let's go in the order of the album. The first song's Behind Bars, which is what we're talking about anyways. So the Moffats were a part of the record or part of the writing, sorry for that. Where did the idea come from?
Mm-hmm.
Um, for that play on words of behind bars normally meaning being in jail, and behind bars can be sitting behind a bar having a drink, and you're kind of imprisoned there with that vice and trying to get over a relationship or a breakup. So where did that idea come from? Is that you or the Moffats? And I have something funny. I have a friend that's a lawyer who's a big fan, and she didn't want me to name her because she's a lawyer, and this is kind of funny. She wanted to
She's a
know.
fan of mine.
She's a fan of yours.
Oh
So
wow.
we when we first met, um, she was already a big fan. I was like, oh, that's a friend of mine. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, we used to hang out and play poker. I'm like, I could get him on a FaceTime right now. She's like, no.
That's hilarious.
So she doesn't want to be named because she wants to know if Behind Bars is actually a love song involving a lawyer. That's what she wants to know. If it was Behind Bars, if that is a song about a lawyer love affair, and she might just be projecting her deepest desires, which is why
she's gonna kill you for that, bro.
Nope, this is why she said I could say this, but this is why I cannot give out any names.
I love it.
Confidentiality, right? Not that I'm her client or anything, but
yeah, that is pretty funny. No, it's not. I haven't had any crazy love affairs with any lawyers. But yeah, it's really
there's a first time for everything.
Yeah, that's become things, right?
There you go.
No, I haven't. It wasn't no. So I think the answer to the question is there were 4 writers on that song: Bob Moffat, Clint Moffat, Shelley Skidmore, and Jacob Davis. And it was my interpretation of the song. The song was slightly, when I first heard it, it was slightly different. The music and the vibe was definitely different. Certain lines I had changed and suggested changes to, just to better fit how I saw the song and what it meant to me. And when I first heard the song, the meaning that I got from it was very different from, I think, what the original concept was. And a great example of something like that is with Hurt, Johnny Cash. It's a 9 Inch Nails song. So it just meant something completely different for me. And Behind Bars, because I'm not a big drinker, I have a few drinks here and there, but I'm not a big bar guy. And I actually spent very little time in bars in my younger days. It wasn't until I started, playing and doing shows and the karaoke and stuff where I was back in the bar, but yeah, it was my interpretation, what it meant to me, mixed with, with what they had done.
So the next song is Drove Me Country. Mm-hmm. So I like that term. And I was there around the time of the breakup, and she literally drove you country. You went from the city to the country. You dove into music full time, into country music. So it actually was that breakup that literally drove you country, which is pretty which is pretty insane. So how much did that breakup play a part in you deciding to go full time? It's almost like things couldn't get worse. And I had one more question here. Oh, and I felt a Sam Hunt influence in the chorus of that song. Is Sam Hunt an artist that you like and that you enjoy listening to? And yeah.
All I can think about when you're saying all of that was the last time you were in my condo, she helped me make the UFC cheese platter. You know, and it's just, do you remember that when I had the cheese platter
Dude,
and it
okay.
said UFC
Hold,
with the
hold,
cheese?
hold that thought. So I am prepared. I mean, I have 3 pages of questions here. And we only have so much time, so we need to dive into the music, but I have some
Right.
stuff that's not music. So I actually have later on, listen to this. It's funny you bring this up because you didn't read these questions.
No, I didn't.
So I put, you know, a little thing about UFC, that you're a UFC fan. I went to your place to watch Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz 2, and you had the craziest charcuterie board I've ever seen. There were like 5 of us, and you had enough food for like 20 people. I'm pretty sure you spend hundreds of dollars. Who are your favorite UFC fighters, and do you still watch the fights? So that was a question coming later. So yes, I do remember. I was gonna say you're like the best host ever. So if ever David invites you over for a party or Christmas or Halloween or something, you got to go, because he's going broke just
Yeah.
hosting. So
Yeah, the charcuterie and UFC cheese is pretty serious.
I forgot that it said UFC. I just
Yeah.
remember it being like the size of the counter. And we were there all night. And then when we're leaving, there's still 93% of the charcuterie board there to show how much excessive stuff there was.
Oh, it's so good. I forgot the question. It was
So
original.
so it was about the song Drove Me Country. How much
Yeah.
did that breakup influence you taking a chance on your career? Is there a Sam Hunt influence on that song,
Right,
or are you a
right,
fan?
right.
I'm a big fan of Sam Hunt. I think
Right.
he's great. Yeah.
Sam Hunt's going to be at Boots and Hearts next year, 2022.
Oh, I saw
They
that
just
with
announced
Shania
that.
Twain.
It's crazy. Yeah. Okay. So no, Sam Hunt didn't directly influence that song. But I think somewhere in there, there's a lot of people that influence me because I listen to music nonstop all day long. So those little styles and flares and things just kind of get in there. In terms of the influence that Sarah had, she had all the influence really, because I'll tell you a really quick story. I'll make it really, really fast. I remember being, and I may have told you this story before, but I remember being in the washroom singing on my phone to a karaoke app. And Sarah was out in the living room watching television. I'm obviously not going to, I went in the washroom so I don't disrupt her. And anyway, I recorded the song on my phone on this karaoke app, and I came out into the living room, and I was like, it was a commercial, and I was like, "Hey, babe," I'm like, "I just recorded this thing on this karaoke app on my phone. Take a listen. It sounds really good." And she's like, "Yeah, I heard you." And I was like, No. Like, what do you mean?" She's like, "I could hear you singing through the walls in the bathroom." And I'm like, No, like put the headphones on so you can like hear with the music. And she's like, "I heard you. I just told you I heard you." And I'm like, "No, you don't understand. Like, I want you." She's like, "No, you don't understand. I heard you." And I left the apartment and I went for a walk outside, and I had a moment of like, am I a fool? I'm 33 years old, and I obviously I don't want to let the whole singing thing go. And am I a fool? Like, this woman is obviously not interested, doesn't think I'm good enough, or doesn't care. What am I doing? Maybe I should really just stop this karaoke stuff. I did the Boston Pizza Idol 5 years in a row, couldn't win it, like go out and do these shows and these contests, and I never win. And I'm like, maybe it's time, and I was in my lowest point. So I did stupid shit like throw parties and spend $500 on, cheese and meats, and trying to impress people, trying to find a way to, boost my confidence back up and be that super cool guy that everyone thought was awesome. And, but it was just money, right? It's easy to be popular when you throw money around. Um, but I was never truly happy, even with the condo and the girl and the nice cars. And, it was deep down inside, I wasn't truly happy, So when she left and left so quickly, it was just like, I'm out, I'm leaving tomorrow. It's like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? What do you mean you're leaving? We've been together for 3 years.
Where are you going? And when are you
where are you
coming back?
going? Yeah. It made me realize, like, anybody can do this to you. Anybody can pretend to love you and pretend to be with you, and then all of a sudden just go, nope. So I'm like, why am I going to allow another person to control me and control where I'm going and how I'm getting there and how long I'm going to stay for? And so when she ripped the Band-Aid off, it's like, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was like she was setting me free. She was releasing the chains, and I hated her for a long time. And I was upset with her for a long time. But then I saw this video by Medea, Tyler Perry, called Let It Go. You got to look up Medea, Let It Go. And that allowed me to get over Sarah immediately. That video, it was, Joel, it was crazy. I was watching this video, and as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my God, I get it. I totally understand every single relationship that didn't work out and why in that video. I mean, it was life-changing, and then I wrote the song. I mean, we're getting in the rabbit hole here, buddy. Then
we're going deep in the weeds.
Then I wrote the song Letting You Go, which is on the EP. Because I saw the video Let It Go from Tyler Perry on Facebook. It just randomly popped up on Facebook. Someone shared it. It randomly popped up. It's nothing is random, buddy. Everything has a purpose, and it's just whether we choose to accept it or not. And when I wrote that song Letting You Go, and I remember I put it on Facebook, and you messaged me. And, we were friends at this point for a couple of years, several years. And you said, hey, man, I'm having this open mic at Marco Polo. I could probably still find the message, come and play your sad song at my show.
Yeah. Come depress everyone so they drink more and we have a bigger tab,
Yeah. So, it was like, and that's where it started, right? That's where it started. It was like just doing that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, she had everything to do with it because, she was in my parking space, and shit couldn't happen until she left. So when she left and she freed up, like I said, I'm not coming home now to hang out with Sarah. I'm coming home from work, and I'm like, what karaoke bar can I hit up tonight? What open mic can I go and hang out at? My thoughts started to change. And I remember working at that HVAC company still. And, I started working less, and the owner was getting mad because, he's losing money. And he called me in for a meeting one day because I guess he was getting concerned that I was slowly drifting away. And when I walked in the office, he said to me, he goes, look at you, look at your hair, look at your beard. You look more like a country singer than you do a salesperson. And I'll never forget it, brother. The office manager was sitting there in the room, and she said to him, she's like, I think that's a compliment for him. I'll never forget that. And, it's like, and look at what happened, dude. It's mental. So, he was no different than Sarah was. He didn't care about me or what I wanted in my life. All he cared about was how many furnaces I could push in a month. And unfortunately, because money makes the world turn, in terms of business, money's important, business is important, but we also got to remember that, at the end of the day, you need people to work, and you need people to be passionate about what they're doing in order for it to actually reach any level of success. And, we are going to be so much happier and so much more successful as individuals if we are able to monetize something that we're truly passionate about, because you can't live for free, but you also can't work to live either.